Disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who kept secrets, especially from someone I've known my whole life. But when he walked back into town, everything I believed about love, loyalty, and boundaries started to fall apart. His name is Jordan, and when I say he changed everything, I mean everything. The way he looked at me, like I was the only one in the room. The way his voice made my skin tingle, even when he was just saying my name. I tried to convince myself it was just harmless attraction, something that would pass. But deep down, I already knew I was lying to myself. It all started the day he showed up at my sister's engagement party. I hadn't seen Jordan in years, not since we were teenagers, sneaking glances at each other when no one else was looking. Back then, it felt like a silly crush, something that would fade as we got older. But seeing him again, older, confident, and even more magnetic than I remembered, it was like time rewound and hit me all at once. He wasn't just the boy next door anymore. He was a man now. And the way he looked at me told me he saw the same thing. We talked for hours that night, just the two of us in a quiet corner while the rest of the party blurred into the background. His voice was lower now, more thoughtful, more deliberate. And every time he leaned in closer, my heart thudded so hard I was sure he could hear it. I told myself it was just nostalgia, that I was reading too much into the way his hand brushed against mine. But the truth is, I didn't want to pull away. Jordan wasn't supposed to be part of my life anymore. He'd moved away years ago, started his own life, and I'd done the same. I was focused on my career, building something steady and safe. But nothing about him felt safe. He made me question the path I was on, the choices I thought were right. It wasn't just about attraction, it was the way he made me feel seen, known, like he understood the parts of me I never shared with anyone. And yet, as perfect as those first moments felt, I knew this couldn't be easy. There were reasons we'd lost touch. People who wouldn't understand. Secrets we'd both been keeping. But standing there with him, inches apart, I felt something shift inside me, something I couldn't explain and definitely couldn't ignore. Just when I thought I had a handle on my feelings, he leaned in and whispered something that stopped my heart completely. That's when everything changed. "I've missed you," he whispered, his breath warm against my ear. Those 3 words clung to me like a secret I wasn't ready to carry. I felt my heart pound so loud I thought the whole room would turn and stare. But no one noticed. Not my sister laughing with her fiancé, not my parents clinking glasses in the corner, not even the friends I hadn't seen in years. In that moment, it was just me and Jordan and the weight of everything we weren't saying. I stepped back just enough to look at him, trying to figure out if he meant it or if this was just nostalgia playing tricks on both of us. "You barely know me anymore," I said quietly, searching his face for the boy I used to know. But what I saw was something deeper. He wasn't playing games. He wasn't just here for small talk and old memories. "I know enough," he said, his voice low and serious. "And I want to know the rest." The truth is, Jordan had always seen through me. Even back then, when we were just teenagers tangled up in feelings we didn't understand. He'd been my secret comfort during a time when everything around me felt like it was falling apart. And then one day, he was just gone. Moved away without saying goodbye. No calls. No letters. Just silence. I didn't let myself think about that pain for years. I told myself he wasn't worth the heartbreak. That people leave, and you move on. But now, standing in front of him again, I realized I never really let go. I just buried it under work, routine, and pretending I had everything figured out. "I thought you forgot about me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I never did," he replied, his eyes not moving from mine. I wanted to reach out. I just didn't know how. That made something in my chest tighten. I wanted to believe him. But I also remembered how long I waited, how I cried the night I found out he'd left town without a word. That kind of hurt doesn't just disappear. And yet, here he was, looking at me like I still mattered. Like maybe, in all the years that passed, we'd never really stopped meaning something to each other. He touched my arm gently, like he was afraid I'd pull away. "I came back for my brother's wedding," he said, glancing across the room. "But when I heard you'd be here, I couldn't stay away. So that was it." He came back, not just for family, but for me. And now we were both here, standing in the middle of something that felt bigger than either of us. I knew getting close to him again would only complicate everything. But the truth? I didn't care. Because the way he made me feel inside. I couldn't deny it. But as I stood there, lost in his eyes, I caught a glimpse of someone watching us from across the room. Someone who wasn't supposed to know. And just like that, the air around us changed. I didn't say anything right away. I just glanced over Jordan's shoulder again, trying to get another look at the person I'd seen watching us. But whoever it was had disappeared into the crowd. Maybe I imagined it. Or maybe someone saw more than they should have. My stomach turned, not from fear exactly, but from the way everything was suddenly shifting faster than I could process. One moment I was caught in this quiet, fragile connection with Jordan, and the next, it felt like the walls were closing in. Jordan must have sensed something was off. "What is it?" he asked, his hand still resting lightly on my arm. I forced a smile. "Nothing. Just thought I saw someone I recognized." He didn't push, which I appreciated. But his eyes stayed on me a second longer, like he knew I wasn't telling the full truth. And honestly, I wasn't. Because deep down, I had a feeling that this moment, whatever was happening between us, was going to get complicated. Fast. The rest of the night blurred by. I smiled when I was supposed to, made small talk with relatives I hadn't seen in years, and helped my sister pack up the last of her gifts. But my mind kept drifting back to Jordan. To the way he looked at me. To what he said. And to that shadowy figure across the room. Something about it just wouldn't leave me alone. Later, as I was gathering my things to leave, my sister pulled me aside. "Hey," she said, lowering her voice. "Were you talking to Jordan earlier?" I nodded, trying to keep my face neutral. "Yeah, just catching up." She gave me a look I couldn't quite read, half curious, half cautious. "Be careful, okay? There's stuff about him. Things he doesn't always share." I paused, heart skipping. "What kind of stuff?" She hesitated. "I don't want to get in the middle of anything. Just ask questions before you let him back in." That stayed with me as I drove home. What did she mean by things he doesn't always share? I knew Jordan wasn't perfect, no one was, but now my thoughts were racing. Was there something I didn't know? Something he wasn't saying? Or was this just my sister being protective? She always thought I was too trusting. And maybe she was right. When I got home, I found myself scrolling through old photos, the ones from summers long gone. Me, Jordan, my sister, all laughing, all innocent. It felt like a different life. Back then, I thought things were simple. But maybe they never were. I thought about messaging him, asking outright what my sister meant. But instead, I just stared at my screen, my finger hovering over his name. And that's when my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Be careful who you let back into your life. Not everyone is who they seem." I stared at the message on my phone, reading it over and over like maybe it would make more sense the third or fourth time. "Be careful who you let back into your life. Not everyone is who they seem." It didn't have a name, no clue where it came from, and the number wasn't saved in my contacts. My heart was racing, but I tried to breathe through it, to not let panic take over. It could have been a prank. Someone being dramatic. But deep down, something about it felt real. Like a warning I was supposed to listen to. The next morning, I couldn't concentrate on anything. I went through my day in a fog, barely listening in meetings, avoiding messages even from Jordan. He texted me, asked if I wanted to meet again. Said he had something he wanted to talk about. And while a part of me wanted to run straight into whatever this was, another part was now cautious, on edge, questioning everything. What if my sister had a reason to be worried? What if that message was connected to something she knew? Later that evening, I decided I needed answers. I drove to my sister's place, hoping she'd be honest with me this time. She opened the door with a surprised look, clearly not expecting me to just show up. "You okay?" she asked, stepping aside to let me in. I nodded, but my voice was tight. "I got a message last night. From someone anonymous. It said to be careful with Jordan." Her expression shifted instantly, like she wasn't surprised, but disappointed that it had reached me. "I didn't think it would get to you this way," she said quietly, sitting down on the edge of her couch. "Look, I didn't want to say anything unless I had to. But yeah, there are things about Jordan's past you don't know." I sat across from her, hands clasped tightly. "Like what?" She hesitated, then said, "When he left town all those years ago, it wasn't just for college. There was a girl, and there was drama. Something happened. She left, and he did too, right after. No one talked about it much. But there were rumors." My stomach dropped. "Rumors about what?" She shook her head. "I don't know all the details, but I just remember people saying it ended badly, that it got intense. He shut a lot of people out after that. It wasn't enough. Not concrete, but just enough to make my head spin. And now he wanted to meet again to tell me something." I didn't know if I should go. But at the same time, how could I walk away without hearing his side? That night, I sat in my car outside the coffee shop where we'd agreed to meet. He was already inside, sitting alone at the corner table, staring out the window like he was waiting for something or someone. My heart was pounding as I reached for the door handle. But then, my phone lit up again. "Don't trust him. If you go in there, you'll regret it." I stared at the message, my finger trembling just above the screen. "Don't trust him. If you go in there, you'll regret it." My first instinct was to delete it, to act like it meant nothing. But I couldn't ignore the timing. Someone was watching me. Again. And they knew exactly where I was, right down to the second. I looked around the parking lot, trying to spot any figure hiding in the shadows, but it was quiet. Still. Too quiet. Inside the cafe, Jordan was still seated, glancing at the door every few seconds. He didn't look dangerous. He looked tired, maybe even nervous. That made it harder, because if I trusted my gut, the part that remembered the boy who held my hand when my parents were fighting, who once walked 5 miles just to bring me soup when I was sick, then I'd believe he was here to tell the truth. But something wasn't adding up. Just as I was about to get out of the car, my phone buzzed again. But this time, it wasn't a message. It was a photo. My heart dropped when I opened it. It was me, taken from behind, just minutes ago in my car. And it wasn't just a quick snapshot. It was zoomed in, focused, like someone had been watching for a while. Panic crawled up my spine. I looked around again, more frantically this time, heart pounding in my ears. I still couldn't see anyone. Whoever it was, they were careful. And now I had no idea who to trust, Jordan, my sister, or this invisible watcher who clearly knew more than they should. But the worst part came a moment later. Another message. "Ask him what happened in Portland. Then decide if you still want to see him." Portland. I stared at the word, trying to place it. Jordan had never mentioned anything about living there. My sister said something happened when he left, but she didn't give details. Was this what she was talking about? Was Portland where the girl disappeared? Where everything changed? I finally stepped out of the car, slowly walking toward the cafe. Every step felt heavier than the last. When I opened the door, Jordan looked up and smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "You came," he said softly. I sat down across from him, trying to steady my breath. "I did, but I need you to tell me the truth." About Portland. His smile faded. His face turned pale. And for the first time since I saw him again, he didn't know what to say. Jordan didn't speak right away. His eyes dropped to the table, fingers clenched around his coffee cup. I waited, holding my breath, heart pounding in my chest like it already knew what I was about to hear. The silence stretched too long before he finally said, "I was hoping you'd never ask about Portland." I leaned in slightly, my voice low. "Why? What happened there?" He looked up at me, and I saw it, guilt. Deep, years-old guilt etched into his face. "There was a girl," he said quietly. "Her name was Emily. We were close. More than I should have let it get. Things got complicated. I didn't handle it right." I wanted to interrupt, to press him harder, but I stayed still, giving him the space he seemed to need. "She had feelings for me," he continued. "But I didn't feel the same way. Not really. I told her the truth, but I think it broke her. She spiraled. Started showing up at my apartment, calling nonstop, threatening to tell people things that weren't true." He paused, voice cracking just a little. "One night, she disappeared. Just vanished. Her roommate said she'd gone out to clear her head and never came back. The police questioned everyone, including me. I had nothing to do with it, but the whisper started. Rumors. People assuming things. I couldn't stay there." "And that's why you left?" I asked, my throat dry. He nodded. "I couldn't take it anymore. So I came home. Tried to put it behind me. But it never really left." My chest tightened. So many things were clicking into place. The warnings. The secrecy. My sister's hesitation. But just as I was about to speak, the bell above the cafe door jingled. I turned and froze. A woman walked in. Slightly older, long brown hair pulled back, eyes scanning the room like she knew exactly who she was looking for. And when her eyes landed on us, she smiled. Jordan's face went white. "Emily?" I whispered, completely stunned. She walked straight up to our table and pulled out a chair. "Hope I'm not interrupting," she said casually, sitting between us like it was the most natural thing in the world. I figured it was time to stop hiding. Jordan couldn't speak. I could barely breathe. She looked at me, then at him. "Don't worry. I'm not here for revenge. I just thought it'd be fun to watch you squirm." My stomach dropped. All this time, she was alive. She wasn't missing. She wasn't gone. She was watching. And now I had no idea who the real threat was.